Hello and welcome to the Buckets and Tea NBA show. I'm your host, Cathryn Naiker. Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's episode. Listen, I'm solo potting today, okay? Because I've had guest cancellations 2 weeks in a row, but we have been through utter madness this week. How could I not? How could I not do an episode? And by the way, if you are on YouTube and you're watching this, which first of all, thank you so much. I appreciate anyone who comes to watch this online or to listen to me in general. You will see that I have a new puppy. So I guess maybe technically I do have a co-host. Her name is Zelda. Say hi, Zelda. Hi, Zelda. Okay, there we go. We got a good shot of her. I'm trying my best to keep her preoccupied here. Got her chewing on a nice little bone. Trying not to get her to chew on all the cords. We'll see how it goes. She has licked the microphone, so we'll see. Doing my best here. So look, there has been so much action this week, so many trades even just today. But what I'm going to do is talk about the major NBA trades and then do some of the Raptors trades, okay? Just want to say that oh my god, this dog is really distracting me. Like there was just today alone would be so much to cover. Like every analysis person, ESPN, The Ringer, The Athletic, blah blah blah, they've all done multiple hours just today, let alone throughout the rest of the week. So we're going to do our best here, and the way I see it is they've given you the hard analysis. They've given you the reasons why they think certain things have gone down. But on this show, we're going to have fun. Okay? We're going to have fun. So let's talk about the big one here. Luka Doncic to the Lakers for Anthony Davis, Max Christie, and I believe some picks. Okay. So I've heard a lot of people talk about his conditioning and that being the reason they didn't want to stay in the quote-unquote Luka Doncic business long term. They only approached the Lakers for reasons who knows why, and they kept it top secret from everybody, and it also means that Luka now does not qualify for a Supermax, although I'm sure he will make lots of money in his career. So here's the thing. I'm not buying this whole thing about him being out of shape. I'm not buying it, okay? Even if he was a little bit out of shape. Think about what he is doing, quote unquote, out of shape. I mean, I think this is completely ridiculous. Like, there's that video that's been going viral about when the Mavericks made the NBA Finals and Luka was celebrating drinking a beer, and then I think it was Michael Finley, who's now in their head office, didn't realize that's what Michael Finley's been up to lately, took the beer out of Luka's hand. And I'm like, I think that's absolutely ridiculous. You make it to the NBA Finals, you can't drink one beer? That's insane to me. Also, too, like, think about this in terms of like the history of the NBA. Michael Jordan notoriously had a very unhealthy lifestyle. Okay, he didn't have any issues with his weight, but he was gambling nonstop, drinking, smoking cigars, staying up till all, who knows, wee hours in the morning kind of thing. And nobody even thought to do anything like trade him or not invest in him long term because of his lifestyle. Shaq was another person notoriously out of shape, would show up to training camp out of shape. But guess what? He was Shaq, and it didn't matter because when he was in his prime, he still got the job done. Another example, James Harden. Okay, James Harden has shown up to training camps out of shape, and he has an MVP. So all of this is like, I get that they had to give the public some kind of reason, that I'm not buying it at all. And the thing is that even if that were the reason why, it would have leaked in a way, like, for example, like how the Pelicans are frustrated with Zion. I think if that was the reason why, they would have shopped around more. Okay. And I get the reasons for not shopping this around. They've said like, oh, like if this got out, then it would have hurt his trade value, this, that, and the other. It's Luka Doncic. Like anyone would be up for grabs for Luka. Like literally anyone in this whole league would be up for grabs for Luka. So I'm not buying that one bit. Here's my theory. Zelda, take over the screen. Yes, you do. Sorry, she's a puppy. She's like 4 months old, and I've been going through training, and it's been crazy. This is my theory. I think this guy, their GM, what was his name? I want to call him Niall. Anyway, I'll pull that up. I think he just had an ego about him. And I think he didn't personally like Luka. And I think he sees himself as a Pat Riley type, where he's the front office, but he's, a Don, if you will, right? Like a Don-esque type of guy. And I think he didn't like the idea of paying Luka the Supermax, but I also think he didn't like paying Luka the Supermax and having a player with that much power, right? Like a lot of these guys don't love player empowerment. Okay. And I think he's one of them. And I think he wanted to take that power away so he could have it for himself, but he had to find a way to justify it. So he's doing this whole like conditioning thing, this, that, the other. Luka Doncic is not out of shape. Okay. We all have eyeballs. All right. Is he the skinniest guy in the world? No. But look at what he can do. And before this latest injury, by the way, who knew Christmas Day would be Luka's last game as a Maverick? I mean, that is wild to me. Who knew that would be? Don't chew the mic. Who knew that would happen? I mean, that is absolutely crazy. And I just, wow, she's like really going after this mic right now. Oh my God, she's so cute. Yeah. Who knew that Christmas Day would be his last game? But look, I really think this was an ego thing. And I think maybe to some extent it was a money thing because of the new CBA. They're like, if we give this guy a Supermax, we're not going to be able to afford to build around him. I would have bought that more. If they were just like, look, like with the new CBA, we can't afford to give a player the Supermax, I would be like, okay, fair, and have a winning team. I would accept that. But also, if you had that conversation with Luka, maybe he would have accepted that. Maybe he would have been like, you know what? I'll take a bit of a bit, not a lot, a bit of a price cut in order for the team to continue to afford good players around me. I mean, this happened in Miami with LeBron and D Wade and Chris Bosh, right? They all took a bit of a price, like, a bit of a pay cut so they could be together. I just, the whole thing doesn't make sense. Yes, I was absolutely in shock when I first heard the news. I absolutely thought it was fake. But even now, days later, all these explanations, they make zero sense of any kind. No, oh my God. She's like licking the keyboard. Watch her like end this whole recording. Because she's licking the keyboard. And I've got her this really nice Nyla bone, and she's not chewing it. She's too distracted. And I think it's because I'm talking to you all and I'm not talking to her. And she's getting all like, why aren't you giving me all the attention? Why aren't you paying attention to me? From the Anthony Davis perspective, I think Anthony Davis had a hunch he was being traded. So I think he was just in less shock. Maybe he's, surprised that it ended up being to the Mavericks for Luka, but I think he had an idea that this would be the end. He's injured right now, but he was not on the road with the Lakers for their latest road trip, their Grammy road trip. So I think he had an idea that something was going to happen. But even with that being said, imagine being Anthony Davis right now, where every Mavericks fan is in mourning and every Lakers fan is like celebrating. Like nobody online in my algorithms is like, I'm going to miss Anthony Davis. They're all like, oh my God, we got Luka. There isn't one person on this planet who's like, oh man, Anthony Davis, what a loss for the Lakers. Not one. not one analyst, not one fan, nobody. And I feel like that's got to be a weird spot to be in if you're Anthony Davis, right? Like everybody's saying like, oh, like all of this conditioning talk is going to light a fire under Luka when he's back. But I think this could light a fire under Anthony Davis as well. Nobody's really saying that, but I think it could happen. I also think too, like, did the teams get better? I don't know if they got better. I think they got different, at least for the short term. Right now, Dallas does look good with Anthony Davis. But the thing is, like, the other thing that confuses me with this trade is that they have Derek Lively. And Derek Lively's only in his second year. He's injured right now. Hopefully he's back before the end of the season. But he's a really great center. And I think his defense is only going to improve. And to me, like, Derek Lively is going to be he already is a starting center in the NBA, but I think he hasn't hit his ceiling yet. So it's like you already have this really strong center. Why are you trading for Anthony Davis, who I know is a power forward, but he always tries to play center? And they're too, look, there's no justification for it. I can't wait for the day that this guy gets fired. And I think, Anthony Davis is injury prone. Like, he doesn't have quote unquote conditioning problems, but he is injury prone. He's been great this year. He's been healthy this year for the most part, except for right now. It's just beyond me. It's absolutely beyond me. It is the most shocking trade in NBA history, but because it's the dumbest trade in NBA history, in my opinion. Let me know what you think. I'm really curious. Like, come on YouTube, see my puppy, see her tail hitting my face right now. Leave some comments. I'm so curious to know what you all think. I think this is so dumb. I think this was purely ego driven, maybe financially driven to some extent, but I think the conditioning thing is complete BS. And I think that's a bunch of lip service and possibly lies that certain people spread about him to conjure up the nerve to do such a thing like this. Even if, Dallas has a decent season this season, I think they will regret this in the long term. I don't think this makes them a better team than Oklahoma City. I still think they're the favorites in the West for all. Whoa. Okay, I hope my audio is still working, guys. I just heard something funny in my headphones. Yeah, to me, OKC is still the favorite in the West for all the madness. Like, the Lakers, this is why the Lakers are smart. It's not just because of the fact that Luka is a superstar, which he is, but they understand something very important. Yes, it's important to win championships, but it's also important to make money. And having a superstar like Luka guarantees that you maintain the vast majority of your season ticket holders, maybe even gain more, and you have a superstar that you can bank on money-wise for the next 10 years, and you have a successor to LeBron. It solves all of that. That's why they did the Kobe contract, blah, blah, blah. Everybody says, oh, they did the Kobe contract because they wanted to show other players in the league that they take care of their own. And I'm sure that is true. But there's the other business side of it, as like, our season ticket holders are paying to see Kobe Bryant. They're not paying to see a rebuild. So we need to maintain that as much as we can. And then they get LeBron, of course. That's why this Luka thing for them is so smart, beyond the fact that he's Luka and it's obvious, and there isn't a single team in this league that is saying no to Luka Doncic. Truly, not a single one. Meanwhile, you have the Mavericks, who are literally refunding season ticket holders because they're so upset that they traded Luka. How is that a good business decision? You're refunding season ticket holders. You've got fans protesting. The world is on fire, but these guys got up to protest that you traded Luka. They could be protesting anything. They could be protesting climate change, world hunger, civil rights. But you got these guys up to protest because you traded Luka. This is the city that assassinated John F. Kennedy. But no, for Luka, they come out with the whole like thing. They got the coffin ready. This city went through the assassination of JFK, but they busted out a whole coffin for Luka. That is how insane this whole thing is. I haven't seen fans this upset since LeBron did the decision special and left Cleveland, and they were like burning his jerseys in the streets. Like, I literally have not seen a fan base this upset since. What are you doing, Zelda? Oh my God. This girl will not stop sniffing around and trying to bite everything she's not supposed to. Look, it is the most shocking. It is the most shocking trade in NBA history, but it's also the dumbest. And I'm just going to stand on record for that. I don't care. I don't care if Anthony Davis comes out and scores 35 and gets like 15 rebounds. This is a short-term play. Also, too, from the Dallas side, puts so much pressure on Kyrie Irving to be who he was 8 years ago. And like Kyrie is having a really good season. He does, however, have a chronic shoulder injury. He is not consistently able to play. He consistently sits out on back-to-backs. And he, along with P.J. Washington, are the only players on that team that can create their own shot. It's like, and then this buddy, Niall, whatever his name is all like, well, you know, defense wins championships. And it's like, yeah, you have to score points though. You got two guys that can create their own shot. That's it. Just unbelievable. Like, even from a basketball perspective, I don't get it. They have a great center in Derek Lively. And then what's his name? Why am I blanking on his name? Anyway, I'm going to pull it up. If my puppy will move from the laptop. You know, you listen to all these podcasts, I'm sure, and you don't realize how things are edited. I give you the raw. I give you the real thing here. Daniel Gafford, that's who I'm thinking of. Daniel Gafford is also a really solid center. And so you have those two. You have Dwight Powell as your third center. So if like one or two of those guys go down, you have another capable center on the team. I mean, yes, look, oh my God, Anthony Davis is listed as a center on this team. He's not even listed as a power forward, which we all know he likes. So that just adds to how ridiculous that is. I don't know. You know, we live in a world where there's a lot of propaganda right now. Okay. I don't know how they convinced the Mavericks ownerships to do this. And I don't understand why he wouldn't go to another team if he was that desperate. If they were butting heads, they weren't getting along, like whatever was happening behind the scenes. Oh, he's drinking another beer, like whatever it is. Like, I don't get why it came to this. Luka explicitly said he had no plans to leave. He had every intention to stay. So that's not an issue. He also said he was genuinely shocked. He also had just bought a $15 million home. You know, I think too, like, you shouldn't treat your superstar like that. And, you know, you talk about the Lakers, like setting an example, like signing Kobe to that big contract at the end of his career, saying, hey, we take care of our own, we take care of our superstars here. Well, the Mavericks have done the complete opposite of that. They have explicitly sent a message to the other players in this league. We're not going to take care of you. If you're drinking a beer to celebrate the finals, we're going to assume you're out of shape. if you come just a little bit out of shape to camp, we're going to trade you. I mean, what kind of example are you sending here? What free agents do you think you're going to sign in the near future? Like literally none. They will have to tank and pray that they get a star even close to Luka's talent to ever see a talent like that on their team ever again. And I think it's a shame. I think it's a shame for the Dallas Mavericks fans. I don't anticipate someone like Kyrie Irving will stay whenever his contract is up. I don't imagine someone like Klay Thompson would stay, etc., because they literally signed with the Mavericks to play with Luka. So I think they've done a lot of long-term damage to their organization with this trade. Short term, again, they'll probably be good. But long term, this was really bad. And we'll revisit this like next year, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, and we'll still be shaking our heads like, how did they do this? I promise you. The only exception to that would be if Luka, God forbid, had like a terrible injury, like really bad injury luck. That would be the only reason we might have a different angle on this conversation going forward. Just one of the wildest and dumbest things I've ever seen a team do in this league. Truly. Okay. That's my thoughts on the Luka stuff. Again, let me know your thoughts. Very curious if you feel the same way. Let me know if you like my ego theory here or if you actually believe he has a conditioning problem. Very curious to know what you guys think. Okay, the other big thing, Jimmy Butler finally. He goes to the Warriors. I'm not surprised by this move. I think the more surprising thing that came out over these last couple days is that the Warriors tried to get Durant. So Jimmy Butler wanted to go to Phoenix, and the Warriors wanted Kevin Durant to join them again. And Kevin Durant is the one who shut it down. That's according to a lot of league sources. So Kevin Durant said, I don't want to go back to Golden State. He left on his own volition. And we all assumed, and I'm sure was true, that he wanted to be the quote unquote man. And he wanted a team that he could call his own because no matter what he did in Golden State, it was always Steph Curry's team. But for that decision, for him to say, I don't want to go back to Golden State now, after all that's happened since then, I think speaks volumes to his relationships with that organization. And of course, there was all the Draymond stuff. But I actually think those two hashed a lot of that out. Like Kevin Durant did like a whole podcast with Draymond, and they talked about it. And they talked about honestly, they were blaming the head office for a lot of their issues, which, may or may not be true. But I think Kevin Durant doesn't trust their doctors, their physicians, their, that whole staff, and he doesn't trust their head office either. I think they burned a lot of bridges with this guy. And I think that's really unfortunate because it could have been the story of the year if Kevin Durant joined the Warriors again. I personally, even though I hated the first time he went there because it just lopsided the league too much and everyone was playing for second place, but for him to have gone back now and for him and Steph Curry together to have another possibly final run at winning a championship, that would have been extraordinary to see. And I think at least as fans of basketball, we lose out on not being able to see that. And I think that's really, really unfortunate that they did so much damage to their relationship with Kevin Durant. Like for all the Draymond talk, I don't think it's just Draymond, because Draymond, for all his flaws, as we all know there are many, he is willing to admit when he's wrong. And you don't get that from a lot of people. And I will give him credit for that. And I think, again, I really do think him and Kevin Durant hashed their stuff out. So I think this speaks volumes to his relationship with the head office. And I don't think it's Steve Kerr because they were together for the Olympics. So I don't think he has a problem with Steve Kerr at all. I think it's the head office. I think it's their, their health. I don't know what they call the health staff, the medical staff, I guess is what I should say. I think it's his relationships with them that ruined that burned that bridge. With that being said, they get Jimmy Butler. Andrew Wiggins joins the Miami Heat. I mean, even if the Jimmy Butler thing doesn't totally work out, the fact that I don't know why they're obsessed with keeping Kuminga. That's going to be my other hot take here. The fact that they kept Kuminga, they kept a lot of their other young guys is pretty good. I think overall this was a pretty decent trade. Will the Warriors be infinitely better? They'll be a bit better. I mean, the way it's gone this season, if Steph Curry wasn't on fire and scoring at least 30, they were painful to watch. So Jimmy Butler is going to help them there because Steph Curry doesn't have to be their only scorer and he doesn't have to be their lead scorer in order to win games. And that alone is huge. It solves an immediate large problem. The other problem they have, and I feel like I've been saying this for years, is that they're too small. And they've been too small. Speaking of Anthony Davis, when they last faced the Lakers in the playoffs, if you recall, they lost that semifinals to the Lakers. Anthony Davis was just destroying them in that series. Draymond did his best. He was not inherently bad, but Anthony Davis has both a size and speed advantage on every single big that they have by a lot. And they just don't have it against teams with an elite big. A few years ago, they were able to beat Denver, but Jamal Murray was injured. I believe Michael Porter Jr. was injured that year. They didn't have Aaron Gordon yet, et cetera, et cetera. So, Jokic was a one-man show at that time. But now they can't beat Denver in a series. They're not going to beat OKC in a series. I feel like they could have a good enough regular season to possibly not be in the play-in anymore. That's their ceiling right now, is 6th in the West. That is like what they are hoping to achieve. They are likely to be a play-in team. They're currently 11th in the West right now, but it doesn't get them to the level of championship contender. I like that they signed Jimmy because this whole issue was not being paid. And if you want to keep him happy, you have to pay him. And so they did. But I like that they only paid him for 2 years because that's the window right now. It's 2 years. That's it. That's the most you're going to get. And, assuming Steph stays healthy, praise be, whatever. I'm not religious, obviously. Oh my God. This is why they can't let me rant on my own, okay? Because I get ridiculous. But yeah, they get better, but they don't get good enough. And at least they can appease their fan base in the very short term to prove like, hey, we're trying. Just like last year they tried to get LeBron. But they need more. They need a center. Rob Pelinka, the Lakers, is he GM or president? I mean, Jeannie Buss is the owner. Anyway, he said that the market for bigs was dry, quote unquote dry, which is interesting because really good centers are not easy to get. And Raptors fans, you'll remember how much we struggled before getting Jakob Poeltl. And I remember people were upset that we got rid of a first-round pick for Jakob Poeltl, but you can't deny that we are better for having a legitimate starting center in the NBA. It was sorely missed until we got it. That's my take. So I don't know what they're going to do to get said elite center again to pair with Luka. Like, they've solved one problem, but they've created other problems. And that is, who are they going to get to build around Luka? And I don't know who that's going to be. I don't think they know who that's going to be at this point. I think they were just impressed that they pulled this off. Anyway, I'm going on a tangent here. I'm sorry. I was talking about Golden State. I don't know. Oh, and I'm talking about the lack of centers. They need a big. They need a young big. And they do have Trace Jackson Davis. And I think they're banking on him getting to a level of being an elite center in the NBA. I don't know if that's going to happen. I like Trace Jackson Davis. I like Brandon Pajemski, but they are putting a lot of pressure on those young guys to be better than they were ever prospected to be before. And Kuminga, I don't know why they're obsessed with keeping Kuminga. I think he's a perfectly fine player. I think he has hit his ceiling to some extent. I don't think he's going to reach the level of being an all-star. Eastern Conference all-star? Maybe. I feel like Kuminga's peak is like Eastern Conference all-star injury replacement number 3, if we're being real, okay? I'm not this believer that at this point, there's been too many years that Kuminga is going to suddenly emerge as this amazing all-star that they've been hoping he would do. And I think, the real loss for the Warriors in terms of this, second, third era, whatever you want to call it, of trying to win championships with Steph, is the fact that James Wiseman didn't work out. We'll talk about James Wiseman when we get to the Raptor stuff, because he's a Raptor now. But they really needed James Wiseman to work out. If James Wiseman became the player that everyone hoped he would become, everything, like the whole Golden State Warrior landscape, would be really different right now. Like really, really different. So that's a shame. But with that being said, both these teams are desperate for a big, and I don't know where they're going to get it. Okay, other big NBA trades. DeArron Fox to the Spurs. Love this. It's quite possible that they won this whole trade deadline, if you will. At least on paper right now, I would say so. DeArron Fox is talented enough, in my opinion, to be the second best player on a championship team with a superstar like Wemby. I'm a huge believer in Wemby. I think, they're going to have some time to adjust, figure it out. But DeArron Fox looks excited to be there. He has changed his jersey number to number 4 because his wife played basketball for Texas A&M. A&M, that sounds like a radio station. Whatever, Texas University. And he's doing that to honor his wife, which I love. I love when love and basketball is real life. But he's excited to be there. He looked good in their game against the Hawks. I was able to watch a bit of that game. They did give a bit of a lead away, blah, blah, blah. Fake Hawks comeback, classic. But I'm excited for this duo. And the Spurs have been kind of sneaky good in terms of building their depth. And I think the Spurs this year could have an interesting playoff run. I mean, I'm not saying they're going to go far, but I think it could be interesting. Let me just Google the standings here real quick. Giving you the raw podcast. Blah, blah, blah. Podcast. Zelda's sleeping now, by the way, if anyone's wondering. So the Spurs are 12th right now in the West, but they're only 3 games behind to be in the play-in. Oh my God. It's actually crazy. Like, the West is insane. There's only 4 games separating 5th from 11th in the West. That's actually wild. I predict the Spurs could end up being a play-in team. I think they could hop up in the standings. And if they do, I mean, is that a team you want to see in the play-in? I don't know. Maybe they don't get far, but I think this is the beginning of something. And I think that's really cool. The Kings, on the other hand, look completely different. They have Zach LaVine now. They have Jonas Valanciunas now. Which is weird because we've seen the DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine thing before, obviously, with the Bulls. I mean, they didn't have a player like Sabonis, so there's that. But I feel like I just don't know what to make of the Kings this trade deadline because I feel like, they made some interesting moves, but it all feels very lateral to me. I actually think the Jonas Valanciunas move is really good. I think he's a very underrated center. Pelinka's talking about centers being dry, blah blah blah. You could have put him with Luka. How about that, huh? Anyway, I don't know what to make of the Sacramento Kings team. It seems very like dramatic and different, but I don't know if it's better. And I don't know if they're going to increase drastically in the standings. In fact, I think they might drop. They're currently 9th, but they're hanging on to that spot by a thread. So yeah, I don't know what the Kings are doing. I think all of this was a bit of a mistake on their part. Obviously, shout out to Chicago for finally moving on from Zach LaVine. It feels like they've been trying to do that for at least 2 years. So that's cool. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to watching a Kings game because I want to see how this whole thing works. Like I can't completely write them off just yet, but I remain confused. It's like C, like grading, like ABC, C question mark. I don't even know if it's a C plus or a C minus yet. It's just a C question mark. Okay, we're 40 minutes in and I haven't talked about the Raptors yet. So we should do that, right? God, so many trades. Well, the last NBA thing I'll talk about is the fact that the Phoenix Suns didn't do anything, which I think is very interesting because according to Brian Windhorst, their locker room is quote unquote toxic. So Kevin Durant didn't want to leave for Golden State, even though he's allegedly currently in a toxic locker room. Weird, right? Weird. Raptors trade deadline. Just want to make sure I don't miss anybody. There's a couple guys that it's like, are they on the team? Like Kyle Anderson, P.J. Tucker, like, are they here now? Are they going to get bought out? I don't know. Okay, but let's officially declare it our Raptors homer moment. Brandon Ingram is now a Raptor. And this is an interesting and confusing move, but I don't think it's a bad move. Now, so long Bruce Brown, okay, really enjoyed him being a part of the Hottie Highlight of the Week nominations based on the fact that he dresses like a cowboy all the time, even though he's from Boston. Confusing, but this is fine. And we moved on from Kelly Olynik. I really thought Kelly Olynyk was going to just retire as a Raptor, but not so much. But he joins an elite list of Canadians that actually got to play for the Raptors, so that's nice. I suppose he'll be missed. Boucher still on this team? Wild. Really thought that was going to happen. Really thought that he would move on and it would be the last member of our championship squad to move, but he remains, and Jakob Poeltl remains because he was in a lot of trade rumors too. The way I see it is this: even if the Brandon Ingram thing doesn't work out, we didn't have to give up too much for him. And I think, considering the quality of player that he is, this is a great trade for us. I don't know what the hell the Pelicans are doing. Obviously, they're attempting a rebuild. I assume they're attempting a rebuild around Zion, because I think Zion is just untradeable. Like, I mean, who's trading for Zion? Maybe the Lakers, maybe the Warriors. But Zion's just such a huge risk. I just don't know who would trade for him. Maybe they've tried to get out of the Zion business and they can't. I don't know. But the thing I like about Brandon Ingram is that he's extremely versatile. And I think he's going to be really interesting on this team. He can create his own shot, which is good. If we need a clutch scorer towards the end of a game, he's going to be as reliable as any other Raptor, borderline all-star player in this league. It's an interesting move from the perspective of, oh, we're in a rebuilding year, but oh, look, we got Brandon Ingram. I think Masai likes having verified talent over picks. So if he becomes a good personality fit and they figure out a way to get him, in the rotation of Darko system, this could be a really bright, shining light for us. Like, I see this trade primarily as a good thing. Even if on paper it's a little head scratching. I actually think this will be good. I hope I'm not wrong, but I think this will be good and interesting. And Brandon Ingram, he's not that old. What's his age? Live podcasting, no editing. Brandon Ingram. He's 27. He's young. I mean, he's not as young as Scotty, but he's young. So I consider this to be a good thing. Other Raptors trades. I need a list. Can somebody just release an article that's just a list? We got James Wiseman. Let's talk about Wiseman. Wiseman is borderline out of this league, right? Like, I didn't even realize he was on Indiana, truthfully. I thought he was still in Detroit. But acquiring James Wiseman and for cash from Indiana, I think, look, why not? You know what I mean? Like, why not? Like I just said, centers are hard to find. And if he can be rehabilitated here into a steady NBA player, even if Wiseman becomes a solid NBA backup center, that is frankly an improvement from where he is right now, which is last person on the bench. He's not expensive. He did have an Achilles tear a while back. If you recall, he was out for like a year. But I think, like, if the Raptors believe in their development and, building guys up, which we have done historically quite well, why not? If James Wiseman turns into a real center, that's huge. Like, that's huge for him. That's huge for us. So I like it. I like it because to me, it's a low stakes investment. So why not? It's not like we got him for the second pick in the draft. And by all accounts, he's a nice guy. I remember a friend to the show, Katie Heindel, shout out Katie, did a really great player profile on him when he was with the Warriors. She flew out to Golden State. They went vinyl record shopping together. He seemed like a really cool guy. So I think from a culture perspective, he'll fit right in. And I actually really hope that this investment works out. Like, I think sometimes players get bogged down over the expectations of being a high draft pick, but And maybe they don't live up to that number, but that doesn't mean they don't turn out to be decent players in this league. Andrew Wiggins, very notorious for that, right? Like everyone was like, this guy is not panning out to be a number one pick in the draft, but he's still here and he just got traded for Jimmy Butler. So there could be a great silver lining in all of this. Kyle Anderson, is he here? Is he not here? Is he going to get waived? Would love to know. Honestly, I should do this live just so you all can correct me in real time. That would be very ideal, actually. I should try doing that. I got to reach out to the Raptors Republic people here and see if I can make that happen one day. P.J. Tucker, is he here? Is P.J. Tucker a Raptor? We sent Davion Mitchell to the Heat for P.J. Tucker. Why? No, I don't like this. I don't like this, guys. I know you're all going to listen to Samson and other people, and they're going to break this down for you basketball-wise, and that's really cool, and we all need that. We all need that analysis. I don't like this at all. Why? I really like Davion Mitchell. Like, I really do. I think he's great. And I think he has potential. I don't think he's hit his ceiling yet. There was a brief moment earlier this year where I had him on my fantasy team, and he did super well. I can't believe I'm finding this out in real time. I knew we got P.J. Tucker, but I didn't realize it was for Davion Mitchell. Well, listen. He gets to move to the warmer weather, and that's a win for the Miami Heat. That's a major win. You know, we don't lose a lot of trades, but this is a bit of a loss for me. I like PJ Tucker, but he is very much at the end of his career. He's 39. And he's had 2 previous stints with the Raptors in some shape or form. I assumed that this would be PJ Tucker's last season in the league and that he would retire at the end of this season. So I assume this trade is just for salary, because we would be off his contract and then the salary is done. I assume that's why they did this. There's no other reason for this move, but I really like Davion Mitchell and I think he has a lot of potential. And I mean, I'll be watching him in Miami, truthfully. Oh, my goodness. Well, that's sad. That's sad for me. Well, guys, again, let me know what you think. Are you going to miss Davion Mitchell? Are you looking forward to the Davion Mitchell tribute video? When he comes back, are you looking forward to the Bruce Brown tribute video? When he comes back to Toronto, it's just a montage of him on the bench. Just a montage of Bruce Brown in various outfits on the bench. Oh my God. Thank you, Bruce Brown, for being a Raptor. Oh my God. That would be incredible. I would do that, but guys, it's late. And I gotta take this dog out in the freezing cold. My goodness. And then she's cold. She stares at me because she's cold. So she doesn't want to go. And then she comes inside, runs around like crazy, and then just has accidents on the floor. This is my life now. I love having a dog. I recommend getting a dog. But do yourself a favor and don't get a puppy in the middle of winter. I thought it'd be fine. How naive I was. Okay, guys. I think it is Hottie Highlight of the Week time. And you know what? Because I've been so bogged down in trade news, because I didn't have a guest. Usually I decide the Hottie Highlight of the Week when I'm sending the guest the topics, and then I decide which ones that they're going to pick. But I didn't do that. And it's been a while since I have picked a Hottie Highlight of the Week. So off the cuff here, I've got a cheeky one, and it wasn't very hot at all, but it's more funny to me, and that is Rob Pelinka's leather jacket. What is that jacket? I mean, it fit to me, it fits a little weird. I feel like you gotta be a certain kind of person to pull off a leather I love how I'm, like, insulting the jacket, but he's my Hottie Highlight of the week. I'll get there, I'll get there. Um, but it was probably very expensive. It was probably more than, like, my month's salary, you know? But the hottie part goes to him for the stride that he had walking into the press conference with Luka, because his job has been on the line since he got the job. Like, he has been so, like, scrutinized as the Lakers GM because he was Kobe's agent before. Maybe some of you didn't know, maybe all of you knew, I'm not sure. But he was Kobe's agent before. That's how he got this job, and people were skeptical that he wouldn't be able to pull it off. Well, he pulled off the Anthony Davis trade. He won a championship. I'm sure that bought him a few years. You know, the Russell Westbrook thing was a fail, right? And it's taken him a long time, I think, to recover from that. But now he walks in with Luka, and this man, he walked like he knew he had a job for the next 10 years. Like, he walked into that press conference like, I am officially a Laker legend, and there's nothing you can do about it. And one day there's going to be an HBO show about me, and Rob Lowe is going to play me, and we're finally going to have that synergy of those two being such lookalikes. Yeah, he won this week. Let's be real. He absolutely won this week. Congratulations, Rob Pelinka, for securing your job for a very long time. Shout out to you for having a coffee in Dallas. What? This all started with a coffee we had together in Dallas. What? I don't know. I don't know with these people. Listen, you make me the Dallas GM today. I might not be perfect, but I'm not trading Luka. It bugs me. It bugs me when you see rich people do a worse job than you know you could do. You know what I mean? But Rob Pelinka pulled it off. He strutted with a leather jacket that I feel is iconic, even if it sucks. And I think he gets my Hottie Highlight of the week. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We don't have nominations this week, blah, blah, blah. RIP Bruce Brown and his outfits on the sidelines of our games. Toronto Cowboy could have been a real thing. Toronto Cowboy could have been a real thing. But alas, a short-lived moment. If you think about it, wow, I'm really rambling now. We got Brandon Ingram for Pascal Siakam. Think about that. That feels like an upgrade to me from the previous Pascal trade. So that's something. That is something. My puppy's asleep. It's late. I should go. Thank you, everyone, for listening and tuning in. I appreciate you so much. If you have listened to my voice for almost a full hour and enjoyed it, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I used to solo pod a lot. Shout out to Brittany, friend and fan of the show, who reminded me that I used to solo pod all the time because I was nervous about doing this today, but I thought it's trade deadline day. I can't not do an episode, even though someone canceled because they have something better to do. But I appreciate you all again. Like, subscribe, leave a positive review if you can. Always appreciate that. And leave some comments. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you think I'm absolutely crazy. If you agree, this podcast, again, it's all about having fun with all the drama, all the madness, blah, blah, blah. I will be back next week. with a guest, probably back in regular form. Zelda the puppy will be with me, and hopefully she doesn't chew all the cords throughout the week. Thank you again, everyone. Hope you're well, and catch you next time. Bye.